It's like the reason why they gave you this big bag is that way after you're done watching, Wonka, you can just
Kill
suffocate
yourself. Yeah,
yourself.
yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, there's probably a couple holes in there. Hey, everyone, and welcome to Why Are You Still Here? The show that we talk about whatever we want most times, and then sometimes have to talk about things that we don't want to.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I want to talk
So
about it, but all for all the wrong
I'm
reasons.
indeed. So today we're talking about a
Woo.
new movie that everybody seems to love so much, Wonka. This took
So
a
you know
long
what,
time.
everybody? Quiet up and listen down. Scratch that. Reverse it.
Remember that classic line from the new Wonka movie?
Yeah. And for this episode, I'm mostly going to Lucas and I are gonna role play as our each other, so to speak, because I'm mostly just gonna sit back and let him rant. Because let's be honest, I don't like this movie like at all. Um,
Yes.
Hatred might even be a word that's creeping into the
All
frame.
right.
However, however, I don't feel strongly about it. This hasn't damaged my childhood, but for Lucas, it may have. It may have.
It didn't damage my
Cheer up,
childhood.
Lucy.
Wow, right when you started I never pressed play in the 3 hour long video that just sits there and does nothing.
Oh no.
God forbid.
And on that note, I bought something at the store, Lucas.
Let's see it. Oh, did you buy them? I
I haven't had these at all. Like right now will be my first time eating them right on camera.
So Brandon's going to open up the Wonka gummies while I talk about the Wonka gummies. So the original 1971 classic Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory that was panned by critics but became a family cult classic on home video release was a movie
Yes.
derived as an advertising vehicle for the Quaker Oats company to produce Wonka chocolate bars. And then from like 88 and onward, Wonka has become a household candy brand. Now, Wonka doesn't exist anymore. Um, but for the releases
Correct.
of the two films, there were massive candy marketing campaigns. One failed and one was pretty successful. Um, there is not one fucking line of Wonka candy for this movie other than these Wonka hat gummies. You have a movie about a chocolate factory with not one piece of chocolate in mind. Go ahead, try it. It turns your tongue blue. Isn't that so imaginative? And is it the most?
Harder than I thought it was going to be.
That's what she said. All right, what do you think?
Sucks almost as much as the movie.
Now, did you get these at the theater? Or did you get them at Walmart?
I got them at Walmart.
Because they were selling them at the theater. And I know they were going to be way more at the theater
I
than at
didn't want
Walmart.
to have to pay any more than this cost. This was like $1.50.
Yeah, and that's $1.50 too much.
Mm-hmm. These suck. Look at the photo on it. It looks like it's like a gusher.
That's what I was assuming it was. All right, so let's see your
Nope.
tongue. What a fucking ripoff.
Approximately 10 hours later.
I'm going to take a bit of a step back. I'm going to let Lucas go all cattywampus with his passion because even though I didn't like this movie at all, I'm not super passionate about it. You guys know this about me. I'm not a big wanker. I mean, I'm not. You know, Lucas
But
is
I
over
am.
there. Exactly. And Lucas is a true wanker, and I'm just like, I'm like half a wanker.
Yeah,
You know?
I couldn't tell you why, but I mean, ever since I was a little kid with the original Willy Wonka movie, I absolutely love the movie. There's something about the idea of, I mean, every kid loves candy, right?
Sure.
Unless you haven't had it, like Willy Wonka, or
Oh
we'll
yeah.
get into that later. Um, just the idea of being a little kid and getting to go to a chocolate factory and see all these absolutely insane creations, and the kid ultimately wins the factory, but the kids also, the brats get picked off one by one in really strange ways with this eccentric kind of dark guy. It's a very, very awesome story, and then when the Tim Burton version came out, I was super into Tim Burton hardcore at that time. I was like 10 years old, super duper into it, so I became hyped for the movie. I would go on themoviebox.net and watch these like 140p trailers of movies.
Mm,
I would always go check because they were the first ones to always get any of the newest movies online in the early
sure.
2000s that I would use. So I would regularly get updates for this movie. There was this toy magazine that would have all the NECA figures in. Like, I mean, this is back in the day, people. So I like actively sought out to get hyped for this movie. So I got the double pack of the books, the Great Glass Elevator and the original book, read all those, loved the movie, hated the movie as I was an adult, but then gone back and now I love it again. So whatever. I love Willy Wonka. I love the candy. I've always loved all the candy. I actually signed a petition to the Ferrero Rocher company to bring back the candy. And I'm on an email list. So if there's any updates, I'll be one of the first to know. Um, so I don't know, man. It's a series I've always really enjoyed.
Yeah. Puppy Monkey Baby. Anyway, so um yeah, Lucas has always been passionate about it, of course, and I'm just like sort of in the middle. I do like it, but I didn't really have any expectations going into this. And you saw me tear apart the trailer when we watched that, so um I somehow disliked it more than I thought it was going to.
I
But
did
we'll
too.
get there. I devoted time to this
So
fanciness.
this very great rendition of the Wonka 2023 logo.
Look at that thing. Let's just stare
Absolutely,
upon its
just absolutely
majesty.
beautiful. It does look very nice. I mean, for once, I won't be mean to you.
Very good, thanks.
Okay, so
All right.
all right. So as they say, Brandon, take it away. Okay, I'll get going. So
Oh, do me, Yo-Yo Master. I want you to do me, because you're the yo-yo guy.
Are you done?
okay,
All right, the synopsis.
with dreams of opening a shop in a renowned city for its chocolate, a young and poor Willy Wonka discovers that the industry is run by a cartel of greedy chocolatiers. And that's it.
So get on your hats, boys and girls, and get ready to talk about Wonka. Ha, 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 ha.
Oh, all right. I can't really keep this one on my head for very long.
Same thing with me. It's exact the opposite problem though.
Yes.
Mine's too tiny. His is too big.
And that's what she told us.
Indeed.
Well, so the movie is sitting at a 7.4% on IMDb, which is a better rating than Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but not as good as Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. In fact, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, my reports are showing, is at 7.8%. So the audiences are thinking that this movie is just as good as its predecessor. So Wonka, obviously, this movie is a prequel. Oh, well, let's just get up the cast list as well.
Yeah.
Well, it's in alphabetical order, so let's talk about the ship captain and his performance. That was riveting.
I think it's what stuck with me the most.
When he said, "Good day, Willie," that was some good acting. I really, really believe the performance. So obviously it does star Timothy Chalamet, who did not audition for the role of Wonka. It also stars Olivia Colman, an Oscar winner, as Mrs. Scrubbit, Cal Elaine as Noodle, and then I guess we can throw in the Chocolatiers. Patterson Joseph as Slugworth, Matt Lucas as Prodnose, and Matthew Bainton as Ficklegruber. So that's most of your.
Oh. Oh.
Oh, come on. We have to wait till we get to that portion of the review.
That was in one of the trailers. That's fine.
Oh, yeah. I guess I've kind of pushed the trailer a little bit out of my mind. So if anybody is wondering,
You missed Hugh Grant.
yeah. So that's what made me turn off the trailer number 2, was because their show was Hugh Grant. Yeah, no, they were showing. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, that's what you're saying. Not to have Hugh Grant in the cast list.
Yeah.
Yes, Hugh Grant, the most notable performance. Who, it's funny, I should mention Timothy Chalamet not even auditioning for the role, but this is also the most hated role that Hugh Grant has ever done. This was so Ian McKellen to your Hobbit. Well, this is his version of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he said it was miserable. And then when they asked him, once you saw the movie, did it make all that misery worth it? And he said, nope.
Big fat nope.
That's not even a joke. That's what's funny about it.
Exactly. So right off the bat, your 2 biggest lead billing, I guess, next to Olivia Colman, one didn't even audition and the other one hated it. So right off the bat, everybody, that's in the promotional material.
Good job.
Let that set the tone for the rest of the review. So obviously this movie is supposed to be a prequel film to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, which is an adaptation of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which has its own movie from 2005 by Tim Burton with Johnny Depp. So you're wondering, well, why does Hugh Grant look like this one? This is exactly what this one is. It's setting it up to be this one.
Yeah.
This doesn't necessarily exist. However, London in this movie looks, I guess, similar to the art style in this one. I would go along with this version. Definitely not the German setting of this version of the movie. But it's a prequel to this movie. It's showing you how this eccentric man who's been walled away for years in his chocolate factory let the children in. All right. That's where we start to get a lot of the problems, because this movie is all of his wacky, zany adventures leading up to the factory. Brandon, it's so strange without you interjecting. I don't like it. You're clearly enjoying your
Isn't it
Wonka
hard?
candy. Yes, it is.
You
I
kind
have
of
to
feel
ask,
the need
though,
to fill the space.
100%. The awkward silences that really eat at your core.
Indeed.
Is your tongue blue yet?
I don't know. Let's find out. Uno momento.
Por favor.
Oh, got
What? A little corner of your tongue is blue.
We'll see if
Why?
it's fully blue by the end
Yeah,
of
why
this.
why? It looks like you just gargled some mouthwash and you still have some of the residue on your tongue. That's like the whole selling point of that candy. Anyway,
It's crap. Yeah, it sucks. Just like the movie. So Lucas saw this movie on the day of release, which
yes,
was Thursday.
I'd gotten my ticket weeks ahead of time, as per usual.
That's true. Yep.
As per usual.
I did not want to do that.
So he didn't do that. Brandon saw it yesterday.
Yep.
So his memory is a little bit fresher than mine. But I would say
maybe
most of the time I do forget a few things that happen in movies. You know, you're thinking about a lot in your first viewing. I remember a pretty damn good deal of this movie because the movie, quite frankly, pissed me off. I told Brandon right from the get-go that anytime the movie started to have a glimmer of Wonka behind it, a glimmer of either magic, a decent song, or like something that just seems like a thematic Roald Dahl element, it squashes any of that buildup immediately. And it's almost funny how much it does that. It's like this movie was like intentionally made to piss me off because Brandon and I and a few handful of other people are the only people that really are calling out this movie for being a disingenuous Hollywood piece of crap. So we're gonna rip on this movie a little bit and have differences of opinion than the masses on this one.
Yeah, massively. It was hard to find another YouTube video that was negative about this
there's
movie,
really
and
only a handful of them.
I tried. I try, and it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm not a big Willy Wonka fan because I mean I like the first movie. I almost venture into love of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But you know, I still have nostalgia for the first one because that's one I grew up with.
Yep.
And still like I went in with a somewhat open mind. I was expecting to not like it, and a lot of times that can mean that you walk out going, "Well, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be." And rarely do you walk out going, "That's somehow worse than I thought it was going to be." And that's how I walked out of this movie. And it's just so corny. It's like it's obviously it's a kids movie, which that's fine. But your audience is probably not mostly kids. It's probably people that are adults that grew up with the original movie.
That's where I get conflicted with the movie, honestly, because when I thought about the exact same thing that you're thinking. The only reason I knew about this popcorn bucket was because of the other lonely approaching middle-aged man in the theater who was also by himself trying to relive
Oh
his
yeah.
childhood memories, had bought this popcorn bucket, and it was like a look into my future. So I'm sitting there, like the Village Roadshow Warner Brothers logo pops up right at the beginning of the movie. And instantly, I'm not gonna lie, it did hit me very nostalgically because
Oh,
that's
okay.
how it did, because that's how the do, 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 let's boogie.
Let's boogie.
the Indeed, indeed, indeed. But yeah, it hit me. I'm like, oh, I haven't seen a Willy Wonka movie in theaters in 18 years. And it was like, this is really nice. So it kind of got me into that like mindset. I was starting to enjoy the movie, but I enjoyed the movie when I was a kid, right? And the movie was over, and they were much younger kids. They might have been like about 5, 6 years old, but they were like dancing and like singing like the final song or whatever. And like that's cute. Like that's who the movie's made for. Like let them enjoy like their own version of Wonka.
Yeah,
But
that's
I'm the
fine.
world's youngest, oldest man, goddammit, and I'm here because this movie is a prequel to something that I grew up with and that I really like. So I'm expecting a lot
Yeah.
of like smart writing and smart callbacks from, director Paul King here, who directed Paddington, apparently one of the greatest films of all time. So
Apparently.
you take, this directing of this British property, and this is a British property. You think you have David Heyman mixed in there. You think this could be like an absolute recipe, no pun intended, for something really sweet and delectable, something for you to put in your thumbnail. I love this magical chocolatey fucking mess, because it's all over all the thumbnails for this movie. So I guess there's nothing else to say about the synopsis of the movie. It's Willy Wonka getting his chocolate factory. Um, is there anything else to say about it? It's a very, very basic plot. My biggest issue with the prequel idea of this movie, and I have no problem with seeing Wonka go to Loompa Land, seeing an extended interaction with the Oompa Loompas, maybe seeing how he smuggled them into Britain or whatever like that. That could be funny. That could be like, a good part of one of the acts of the movies. I would like to see a little
Hmm.
bit more of Fickelgruber, Slughorn,
Merlin's beard! No need to disfigure me, Elvis.
and Prodnose. I would like to see the beginnings of the factory. You have glimpses of all of that throughout this movie. You have portions of it. You have retold and repurposed characters that are all present and accounted for in these versions that do a much better job of telling the Willy Wonka story without having to have a 2-hour movie based on it. So nobody asked for it, sure, but this movie is so fucking pointless. It's
Yeah.
so pointless. And it's kind of hard to really talk about why until we get into the spoiler portion. For all intents and purposes, it's not a badly directed movie. The acting isn't terrible. The singing could be a lot worse, you know. It's by all, you know, senses a good family movie. There's fun to be had there, but as a
Mm-hmm.
Wonka fan, I just have some serious issues with the
It's just
story. The story is the problem.
it's abnormally goofy, it's corny, it's weird, not in a good way, and it's just unfortunate because it feels like such a wasted opportunity. And you have these comedians that are legitimately good comedians, like Keegan-Michael Key. I don't know if you mentioned him in the
No, I did
cast
not, of
either.
course.
Um, he's a legitimately funny comedian, and his talents are just wasted
Well, it's
in
funny
this
you say
movie.
wasted because I'm not going to say he was stand out, but he was one of my most enjoyable aspects of this otherwise dimly lit movie. I
Yeah,
thought, I
I would
mean,
say wasted.
he
Not
made me
he
chuckle.
he had a couple moments here and there. I don't
He
know. I
was
just felt like
like a little
it could have
breath of
been
fresh
better.
air because a lot of the other comedy just did not land with me.
You have tons of legit comedians. You have Keegan-Michael Key, you have Rowan Atkinson, you have Matt Lucas, and there's probably others as well. Timothy Chalamet is not a comedian, but he's like a legitimately good actor. And just a lot of things just seem kind of just wasted potential because
Totally.
Timothy Chalamet, I don't know if it's because of the fact that he didn't audition or what. It didn't seem like he was fully invested in the character. He seemed pretty insincere in
It was
everything
just
he
like a phoned
did.
in performance.
It was so
It was
phoned in.
like I said to Brandon, it's like Timothy said, "Oh, I remember watching that Tim Burton Willy Wonka from back in the day." And then he just like sat around with his friends, drank a bunch of beer, and then they like watched the movie, and then like he improvised a few scenes, and his friends were like, "There you go, man." I don't know what he does in his spare time, but it just
Yeah,
seemed like he
maybe.
got like the most haphazard performance recreation because
Maybe. It's just,
there's
yeah.
like maybe literally one or two times, and I can't even remember the line specifically, but there was only about twice where it seemed to have that like kind of like sarcastic monotone yet calm Gene Wilder demeanor. He very rarely encroached in that territory,
He wasn't
if at
ever like
all.
snarky or sarcastic or mean.
Hmm.
All the things that make Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka good, right? Because that's the one thing that is sort of the bridge between the Gene Wilder version and the Johnny Depp version. There's not a lot of similarities there, but the one thing certainly between them is that they both hate kids. They obviously don't like kids. They, in general, they act like they do to get them into their factory and then they kill them one by one. Um,
Exactly.
and it seems like there's not really much of a veil either, because like Gene Wilder, it makes it pretty clear how much he dislikes children, and so does Johnny
Which is
Depp.
another really big point of contention with this film because in both versions there's that underpinning like darkness, like this guy could fucking snap at any second, like he's
Yeah,
unhinged for sure, you know. And they both do it in their own like uniquely characteristically their own Wonka version, and I really can appreciate that. But this movie has none of that dark edge to it. It's way too family friendly as far as I'm concerned.
yeah,
And
yeah.
can you see this Willy Wonka that's portrayed, Timothy Chalamet's Willy Wonka? Could you see him either going along with his plan of finding the best kid, or would you find him trying to save the kids from their own demise?
Yeah,
I don't
he's
see,
too nice.
yeah, 100%. I didn't see any of that in this. He's way too
Mm-mm.
selfless, and it's all for that like awesome, family friendly, grandiose musical number. I don't know. I
Yeah, it's weird. It's like they didn't understand the character of Willy Wonka.
That's what bothered me. I
So,
kept rewriting the movie as I was watching it because again, all of his backstory, or at least the underpinnings of what you could do, are laid out in the book. Grandpa Joe tells so many stories of working for him back in the day that are all outlined in the goddamn book. It's all there.
yeah, yeah,
Black and white, clear as crystal, okay?
yeah. Yeah, and he's already weird and eccentric by that time. And
Exactly.
he is eccentric, and I guess he's weird, but he is just too nice. Um, Yeah, I don't know. Outside of any, I think that we touched on most of the spoiler-free stuff. I can't think of anything else if there's really to say about it. The songs are forgettable for the most part.
I
There's
liked
one
a
that
little less than
stuck with
half
me.
of them. There were
Um,
three that I
that's good.
particularly enjoyed,
The movie starts off with a song, so they throw you right into it.
which I loved.
Uh,
I thought that was great. It kind of really got me into that mood.
that's
Um,
good. There's
it
reused songs from the original, so be prepared for that.
I didn't know that, and I don't know how I feel. Maybe if I knew that going into the movie, like I don't know if that's
Yeah.
considered a spoiler.
Well, we're not saying the specific songs.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Yes.
mean, Wonka looks at the little girl and goes, "Cheer up, noodle." I thought that was highly inappropriate for them to reuse the most hated song of the original in such a
Indeed.
way. Um, like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Willy Wonka is on his path to open up a chocolate shop, introduces chocolate to the world, and he hits some bumps along the way,
Exactly. I mean,
basically.
it says it right in the synopsis, I guess. So I guess we can further along that slightly just by saying the chocolate cartel, which is essentially a chocolate mafia that's in this gallery
Yeah,
gourmet, which is this area of London that has all of the fancy delicatessen shops, right? All of the chocolate shops. Delicatessen, is that a
yeah.
chocolate thing? Is that a chocolate thing or is that just food?
I think it's like a deli. It's like a sandwich shop.
So Willy Wonka started a sandwich shop and it failed. So he
Yeah,
turned over to chocolate. And ironically enough, this movie was the creation of Nutella. Um
correct. Correct.
anyway, I'll repurpose that funnily into the next transition. So anyway, where the hell was I? I got sidetracked thinking of Nutella sandwiches.
I have no idea. Doesn't this feel like a disaster?
Yes,
Like we just keep on going on and on without any real purpose.
I know. We need to get to the spoiler portion because that's where the purpose is about to be.
Indeed. So Lucas, what is your score for this for the people
Fuck.
that have yet to see this movie?
5 out of 10. And that's a generous five. Actually, no, I think it's a pretty well deserved. Yep, it's just a straight up five.
Mine too.
Yep. Definitely wasn't the worst movie I've seen. Definitely not the best, but it continues to get more annoying as time goes on. Only
It's
because
funny,
there are just certain things that I can't unsee.
a lot of people are talking about how this is like the greatest. Not only is it the greatest movie of the year, not only is it the greatest movie of the last few years, not only is it the greatest Wonka movie ever made, but people are trying to figure out where to like fit it onto their top of 2023 list. And I'm sitting here like I'm trying to fit it
Where do I
onto
put it in
my
the worst
bottom of
list?
2023 list. Yeah. Like man, like
And it's,
where
I mean, the
like
thing about the
is this
movie
one
though
of the
is
worst?
it's it's so cute and stylized and whimsically charming. It makes it hard to hate it because it's like one of those things where, I mean, obviously we can look past certain things and we're being, big Wonka fans, so that plays a role in it too. But this is just one of those kind of cutesy films that makes you feel good that if you don't like it, you don't have a heart. And it's around Christmas time, so that always skews these kinds of emotional movies super hard. So I don't know. Whatever, the movie was a run of the mill. If you're a Willy Wonka fan, I don't think you're gonna like it. If you like family, yeah, it's a fucking waste. Just like the movie. What a great
Yeah,
marketing fail.
yeah. Don't buy the stupid top hats.
So again, but you can get this top hat though if you go see the movie because I think this is an awesome, like one of the best popcorn
Yeah,
buckets ever.
it's
That's
not
this
bad.
is legit.
It's pretty
So
good.
anyway, again, like we always say, if you want to go see the movie, go see go see it. If you actually let our
Of
thoughts influence
course.
you that hard, that's stupid.
I would
But
say go see it regardless. Like, even if we say that something is really bad, still go see it. Like, work
you might
out
love
your
it.
own opinions on it because I mean, you will love it if everybody else is to go by.
Exactly. I guess you shouldn't miss out on that theatrical. I mean, it looked good in Dolby. No reason to spend the extra money to see it in Dolby. I'm sure it looks good in anything.
You could see it in IMAX. They're bragging about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so go see the movie and then let us know in the comment section down below what you thought of the movie. And then when you have seen it, you can tune in for the spoiler portion, which is about to be dropping. Um, we're about to be sending out 5 golden tickets, and then we're gonna send you a link, and that's how you watch the spoiler portion. So buy our
Yeah.
merch. Shameless plug.
Our our
Which means that nobody will be seeing the next portion of the review.
inexistent merch. Yes, exactly right. Anyway, so spoiler time, I guess.
This
I
is
mean,
what
it's not
I've
like
been
there's
waiting
any
to talk
significant
about.
spoilers in this movie, but
We just, I don't like being spoiled. So I just like to, and some people consider things to be spoilers and other things don't. So, you kind
it
of have
does
to
vary.
wade the waters in that territory, I guess.
Yep,
Um,
that is true.
so I
But
guess let's just start off chronologically, unless you had something specific that you wanted to say right off the bat. I guess we can just start
no,
off because my biggest problem is the story anyway. So I guess it would just make sense to just kind of knock out what actually is happening in this movie. So the movie starts off with Hat Full of Dreams. It's a very catchy song. It sets off, that Willy Wonka, he has 12 sovereigns in his pocket, and then certain events happen throughout the song. It
yeah,
shows that he's generous. He's trying to go to the grocery store. There's hidden fees. He's accounting for less than what he's
I got
actually
5, 6,
getting.
7. 6 silver
As
sovereigns
long as you
in
have
my
dreams in that
pocket.
hat, that's all that matters.
my hat's empty.
Yes. So anyway, so the movie, I thought the movie started out relatively strong, just because I'm not like a huge musical fan. It's not like I oh my God, you son of a bitch. Are you combining Scream 6 and Willy Wonka into one movie? Your
Yeah,
two
making it
favorites of the
good.
year?
Exactly.
Anyway, so it's not like I go to like musicalblog.net and like follow like the community or anything, but if there's a good musical, I'll go see it and I'll enjoy it. So I'm not opposed to them.
Sure.
So this like being a full-on musical, because there's way more songs in this than there are in the original, I wasn't super opposed to, but not all the songs are good, right? Not all of them have purpose like the
Correct.
original, but that first one set up the tone for I don't have a lot of money, but I got this dream of making chocolate, so let's do it. So I'm thinking like I'm willing to give it a chance at that point. It was stylized, it looked very nice. And then, he does run out of money. He lays down on the bench. And then this is where we're introduced to one of the villains of the movie, Bleacher, who convinces
Yep.
him, he knows this place, Mrs. Scrubbits. It's like a laundromat that's somewhere in London. You can come stay there. So he doesn't have much money. There's lodging. He can go. He gets there. He realizes, or, Noodle tells him, so the other main character of the movie, the little girl, that there's the fine print that is on on the contract. So she's like,
Hi there, love. Come in for a spotty gin. Come on up, and then we'll give you some lodgings. You pay me
Warm
back
your
one
cockles on the fire.
warm your cockles.
and you pay me about your one sovereign tomorrow there, love.
And then Noodle, pops in through the little door and goes, read the fine print. And he
He's
goes,
like,
what?
huh?
What do you mean, read the fine? What do you mean there, little girl? Read the fine print? What? I guess I'll stop talking now, shouldn't I?
Okay. So
And then he pulls out this
yeah.
like 12
Whoa.
feet of fine print. And
Which
then
made me think of the original, because that's what this is supposed to be. There is a really
Right.
long contract that gets smaller and smaller, and then Mr. Beauregard goes, I'm a businessman. I sell cars, Wonka, and I don't know what you're putting in this fine contract. So you have that, right? And he kind of pulls, he rubs it off, blows it off, whatever he wants to do
Coming
to it.
all back to being a wanker.
Yeah, indeed. And that's when he just says, okay, whatever. And then you don't really know why, but he signs it and goes along with that.
They are getting prepared to kill him by beating him to death. And he just is like looking at it and just like, oh, everything seems in order here. And I thought he had some plan because I'm like, this guy seems like he is a genius. He has to be a genius, right? With what I have known about
Yes.
him from these other movies, he is very, very smart. So I'm like, he's doing something. He knows that the guy's about to beat him. So he did some type of trick. He either wrote in ink that's gonna vanish, or I don't know. He
Mhm.
wrote somebody else's name down on there,
He's
so
a
it's
magician and a
voided.
chocolate whiz, along with being the best
Yeah.
darn guy who ever lived.
Little did we know, he does not know how to read.
And this is where, like I said, not even the first third of the movie, like toward the end of the first third, I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? So you mean to tell me one of the most clever, smartest chocolatiers to ever exist, which Brandon has gotten hair cream, and obviously it's worked very well. So,
I was supposed to get a haircut today, and it didn't work out for me.
so now he's just gonna play with his hair until he chops it all off. Anyway, just get the Oompa Loompa that cuts Willy Wonka's hair to take care of it for you.
It'll be like the hair cream one that has the hair that looks like cousin
it's exactly what I was going for. So anyway, so you're gonna tell me that this man who is making in this movie chocolate that can make you fly cannot write down the recipe of what he's supposed to do. So not only do these amazing chocolate and candy creations come with measurements at trial error, and again looking at he can't fucking read. He can't fucking read.
I don't know.
So
Yeah, it doesn't make
this
any sense.
8-year-old girl is teaching him, got letters of the alphabet that are in like their like lodgings or whatever. They're at Mrs. Scrubbett's. And in one of the songs, I remember the line because it pissed me off. It was something, it was like, I'll say it, but I'll put it in the video, like a little clip of it. It was something about vowels and consonants. Now you're just talking some nonsonance. And I'm like,
Well, that's a vowel and that's a consonant.
What's that now? You're talking nonsense.
that is such a suspension of disbelief that I couldn't get over it, because it gets him in the trouble multiple times that he can't read. Remember when they're at the zoo and he goes into the tiger room, he goes, oh, here's
I
a
do.
giraffe and there's a tiger in there, and I'm like,
And they're
oh, my
like, your
fucking
inability
God.
to read almost just got us killed.
And it's like, are you not standing right there, Noodle?
Yeah, he did do it quick though. He's like, oh, the giraffe room. He goes right for it. So, I mean, he. I mean, I'll tell you this: my favorite song in the movie was the song that I was most highly anticipating, which it goes something like aha, aha, I had a great idea. Aha, aha, Willy Wonka is here. Aha, aha,
Yes.
it's gonna be quite dandy.
I was waiting for that song,
aha,
and it just never happened.
gonna
had
make some
predicted
new candy. I thought of something new. It will turn your face blue.
Or your well, it'll try to turn your tongue blue.
Yeah, that was a good one. That's a
Exactly.
that wasn't
From
really
our trailer
in the movie.
reaction breakdown thing. But
yeah.
from this point too, so obviously this is when him and Noodle start to like forge that friendship, because they're gonna get out of there together. I guess we could talk about Mrs. Scrubbit. So I didn't mind them being a villainous force in the movie, her and Bleacher, but they
Sure.
shouldn't have carried until the entirety of the movie, because then they're a plot point at the ending of the fucking movie too, and what happens at the shop. So
Yeah.
like the reason why I didn't mind them is because, you know, she comes across as, you know, just the lodgings for the night. But it is kind of very
Right.
Roald Dahl feeling, you know, all the things that she had charged him for, you know, like the stair fee and things like that, and just small
Sure.
things. Like it kind of gave me that goofy vibe, and I was starting to give it some leniency. Let me think. But no, what did you think of all of the characters, the 5 other people I think it was that were at Mrs. Scrubbits? Because
I thought that they were like non-existent. I couldn't tell
exactly,
you their names or
other
anything.
I can tell you one of them was named Abacus Crunch because I just read it on IMDb, and that was the older guy who was like the accountant who had worked for Slugworth.
Yeah.
So there was that one, and then fuck, I don't know. There was the really annoying failed comedian with the spinny bow tie who I wanted to punch in
Yeah.
the fucking head.
Yeah, I want to punch him too. That was annoying. It's like, that's as disappointing as my third marriage.
And everyone's just like, his bow tie did spin, right? They were singing and it spun at
I'm
one point,
fairly
or he had it.
certain.
Okay. Yeah, so he was like a shitty comedian magician too. And then there was
Yeah.
the girl who was the telephone switcher who they were like, "What? I didn't even know you could talk." She was like, "Well, after doing that line of work for so long, you don't want to talk." And I'm like, "Oh, fucking kill me." They had no discernible qualities. They were all junk.
Scrub. Yeah.
You take your apparel, put it in a barrel, scrub.
Scrub.
Scrub. Which would have been a nice song if they didn't go scrub throughout the rest of the movie trying to prove a
Yeah.
fucking point.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was a cute song. It didn't bother me. I liked it.
Yeah, the song itself was fine, but yeah, the scrub at other parts of the movie was strange.
Yeah, so the whole point of them is they all become this band of misfits that work together to escape the clutches of Mrs. Scrubbit. Willy Wonka's bright idea is to escape through the laundry chute with Noodle, and they're going to be selling chocolate, all while using the sewer system, remember, to get around, because the chief of police and the chocolate cartel have essentially put a price on Willy Wonka's head because his candy is too fucking good. So he basically has to become like this chocolate drug dealer of the streets of London.
True, but firstly, let's not forget that Mrs. Scrubbits, is that her name?
Yeah, Mrs. Scrubbit.
Okay, Scrub. Mrs. Scrubbits loves aristocrats.
Oh yeah,
And so much so
Willy
that
Wonka...
her attention goes completely to them, and that's his way of escaping.
Yeah, so he draws like this page out of a library book of some Bavarian like lord that
Like,
bears some resemblance to Bleacher, the guy
yeah, it's
who's
like
her
Bleacher
minion.
Wits or something.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Bleacher Wits.
And then so Noodle was like, she's like,
Why are you down there, love? What are you having in your hand? Are you trying to learn?
and she's like,
Oh, well, I just got this from the library, Miss Scrubbit. Looks like a lord, looks like bleaching. Oh, well, I'll do everything for power.
whatever the fuck it is. And then Willy Wonka tells Bleacher to go take a shower, and he goes, "What's a bath?"
and
and
then
then-
tells him to start showing more thigh
So this is where he puts
because
on
it's
the
sexy.
the thing.
Yeah, like
and then-
these German shorts.
Yeah, and that's
And
that's
it's
when
like, oh,
when he goes and stands by the fire, and then he just bends over to get warmer, and she's looking at his ass. Yep. and then she goes,
What are you doing all the way over there?
what are you doing all the way
trying to
away?
get warm.
Why don't you go?
And you
I come over here and have a spot of gin to keep warm.
And he
like
goes,
the
"Whoa,
sound
you
effects
come
they
over
put in.
here." And then he pulls her over, and then they become
Yeah.
instantly smitten, and then they sneak
Yeah.
out. So,
But the sound effects they put in of the shorts, like I don't know, like about to
they're very
rip.
cartoony sound effects, yeah. Which
Like
all the little
they're-
kids were laughing about because it's a butt joke, it's whatever, and
Sure,
it's funny, I guess.
I
So anyway,
guess.
so are we done talking about his ass?
Yeah, no, I want to talk more about it.
Which is a
I
thing
don't
that
know,
they
and she's
keep
like-
up throughout the whole movie until the end.
And she's just like, when did you come from Bavaria? And he's like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean they were fine together. They didn't bother me. I didn't feel like they felt too out of place. But
Yeah, it was fine.
they should have just been a portion of the story. They shouldn't have been the overarching villains because they ended up working with the chocolate cartel toward the end of the movie. But so anyway, he is selling his chocolate at this point, and the chocolate cartel, the point is it's too good. We can't have him sell it. He's selling it at too low of a price. It's going to put us out of business, which was not the idea of of Willy Wonka's competition in the original book and in the original movie and in the 2005 adaptation of the book. Because the whole idea was it's not that it's too good. It's well, I mean, I guess it is that it's too good, but
It's
he's sending
unique
people
chocolate, right?
because if you read the book, everybody had a certain thing. So Fickelgruber's ice cream would never melt. Um Slugworth had like magic balloon candy or something with balloons. And then the other one had like the giant something to do with bubble gum. So like each of them had like a little thing that they advertise in their storefront, right? And Wonka's was kind of like everything. It was all like unique sorts of chocolate, but things that you couldn't really do. So the original idea is that he has them coming into the factory to steal the recipes, and that's what to sell them off to Slugworth. And I'm gonna if we are going with the continuity of this movie too, I didn't even think about this. The Slugworth in this movie, sure as fuck, isn't the Slugworth that's in the other one. So what's up with that? Are you gonna
He's
explain
not
that?
he's not the real Slugworth though, right? Because in that movie, they're like, it's Slugworth, and he's like, no, that's not Slugworth. That's Mr. Skittlebomb. He works for me.
Skittle.
Like it's like that. So you kind of get from it that that's not really Slugworth. That being said, when I hear the name Slugworth, I think of that guy.
Yes.
It's been hammered into me since I was a little kid because that, you think of like this creepy guy with glasses. He's like balding. And he's just like
Whispering creepy shit to every single person
Yeah, exactly. So
at
you
all
do
the
think that
TV
that's Slugworth,
appearances.
but I guess it's not. It's an yeah, I don't know. It's a African American man that is in a position of power
Exactly.
in the
Yeah.
40s.
But you said you didn't have an issue with it. I do have an issue with all three of the chocolatiers. Not,
I mean, they
it's
suck.
so well. Not only do they suck, but it's like the chocolate cartel existed before Wonka. So all the shops in the Gallery Gourmet are basically just the chocolate cartel shops anyway. So why
Hmm.
is there this underlying like obsession with chocolate? Number one. So
Yeah.
it just doesn't fucking make sense to shove those three characters. If you had a chocolate cartel alongside those three characters, maybe I could see it. But why are they all working together? Because they all have different storefronts. Is it just one big
Yeah.
ring? I don't know. And I don't know why I'm so fixated on it, but it just bothers me because it's something that I think could have just been completely ignored. You definitely have those three characters in this movie, but you don't have them in the role that they're in. And not only that, they're written all horribly. They're not even like villains that you love to hate who have a purpose. They're just shittily written characters,
They are
all
written
three of them.
terribly.
When the
Yeah,
chief of police is more interesting than all three of them, that's a problem because it's like a
it's
Fantastic Beast thing where I always say that the Muggles are my favorite character of that first movie. That's what I'm not feeling with this one. So you add an
it's goofy.
unnecessary.
It's corny. It doesn't make any sense. It's stupid, dare I say. When
Very
you have a
stupid.
character that can't even say the word poor, you have another one that can't even really speak English at all, not because he's foreign.
can't speak English? I thought I could.
It's just
I'm
the way that he
African.
talks. And then you have another one.
say the word pure.
Yeah, terrible. And then another one that anachronistic black man.
Yeah.
And so it's just like I don't know.
Who
I
the
don't know.
hell would want a
I
chocolate that
didn't
makes
like
you
those
fly?
characters.
He says that in disbelief at the very beginning while eating it. And that's such an out of place scene with the hover chalks. Is that not something that should have been in development as a precursor to fizzy lifting drinks? Why
It
is
should have been
everything
something.
why is everything so perfect right off the bat in this movie too? All of his
Yeah, I don't
candy
know.
looks delectable. There's no trial and error whatsoever. Like whatsoever until
I
things are
mean,
poisoned.
those ones were made with bugs that you had to fart out or whatever, shit out. And that's going to happen to you when you're like 90 feet off of the ground. So he definitely murdered people that day, that fateful day. Which I guess that's sort of in line with the
The
Willy Wonka
character.
that we know and love. Um, but yeah, I don't know.
Because in the
It
trailer,
just
I
felt
thought
so
that
goofy and corny.
that scene when all three of them are floating and his fucking wig falls off, that's in the very beginning of the movie, basically. Like he's already
Yeah.
successful. He's already successful at the beginning of this fucking movie,
He's
basically.
competent when in his candy making goals, but he's not really successful
Well,
because
when he goes
he
out with
can't make
Noodle,
any money
he's making a fair amount of money
that
going
gets
in
stolen
between the
by the
amount of
police
sewers.
or gets stolen by Hugh Grant's Oompa Loompa.
Which, yes, it
Or
does. But the point is, he's already good. Like I thought I was gonna
he's
be
good, yes.
even in so in all three versions. So when I say three versions, book, Gene Wilder, Depp, that's understood if anybody didn't know that. There's trial and error all throughout that movie. So much so, in fact, that's Violet Beauregard's demise. Are you kidding? Look at the entirety of the inventing room scene. What? Come on. Come
That's true.
on. So
Maybe
again,
the
it's
Oompa
just
Loompas suck at making candy.
well, does Willy Wonka suck at making things because it's his ideas? He's the chef. Don't blame the sous chef. His
Maybe he doesn't
recipe.
make them himself anymore.
So again, so that's my point. The movie just doesn't make sense in a lot of ways. What else do I want to say?
Timothy
Where
Chalamet's heart is in it. He
oh,
is
it's
just acting way
100%
too
phoned in.
goofy. Just like, aha. Did you say aha? Yeah, but it's not gonna work. Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Aha.
Double, huh?
Double ha. You
Or when
definitely said
the
another
part with the
ha.
Oompa Loompa at the end when he's on the boat and he has the eye mask and he's like, "Oh, I have an idea." Well, what you said it, whatever. And he goes back and just keeps doing it over and over again. It's he's being
It's
goofy for
not
the sake
funny.
of being goofy. I don't know if he took any artistic liberties in line delivery or like ad-libbing, but it just seems like he read what was on the script in a jaunty way and then danced around with the cane and then did the top hat thing and then just like
Yeah. It's just very corny. And there there was like there was no trying to explain why Willy Wonka had a cane, and I guess that might be okay because we don't need every single little thing explained. I
for
look
sure.
back to the Star Wars Solo movie, which is something I really enjoy, but they felt the need to explain where he got every little bit of what makes him Han Solo, even down to the name Solo. Um, so it's like you have to be careful with that kind of thing as well. But also, it's like, why does this kid have a cane? I don't know. Just to be
You just saw
eccentric,
all
I
the other
guess.
people. Yeah, that's it.
So that's the thing is that that's the case with a lot of stuff, is just for him to be eccentric. And does he ever change his clothes? He's just wearing the exact same thing the entire movie, which I guess maybe that's okay too, because maybe he's poor. Well, he is poor. He's definitely poor, but maybe he
Hmm.
really just doesn't have another change of clothes. So he probably smells pretty bad too.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I mean, it's good. We talked about that during the trailer. Like what his
Oh, the costume looks great.
wardrobe is good, but you might want to change it a little bit here and there as the course of the movie goes on to show that days have passed or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I
Okay.
don't know. I mean, what happens when the chocolate cartel comes across somebody that doesn't like chocolate? Because that's how they bribe everybody is by giving
Then
them
you can, if you
chocolate.
don't like chocolate, you can get the fuck out.
Apparently, and as maybe not everybody knows this because it was said in like one episode a while ago, but I don't like chocolate, right?
So Brandon,
So
yes, that's true. Brandon does not like chocolate. My favorite kind of candy is chocolate.
my favorite kind of candy is
Wonka hat gummies.
gummies that are shaped like hats. Yeah, it's delicious.
Hmm.
Anyway, so yeah, I'm not
Anyway,
a fan of
so
chocolate at all. So I would be like, I would be
what are you
immune
gonna
to
do?
their pressures, I guess.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
speaking and
How
speaking
do
of
you?
chocolate, how are every single piece, and that's what it is, every piece of chocolate that Wonka produces from his mobile factory, because this movie is not him getting a factory, okay? It is at the fucking end of it.
Yeah,
Because everything he can produce is from a suitcase. Where's the Wonka bar? Oh, I'll tell you, there's one Wonka bar in the movie, and it's because his mom made cocoa from made the most delicious chocolate, and she died, and he saved the candy bar, and he never opened it. He made a wrapper for it or whatever. Oh no, she made the wrapper for it because inside of it had the golden ticket that said like share with whoever you or what,
yeah.
share with
And
those
I
you
really
love.
liked when he opened it up and he grabbed out that golden ticket and how he went, I got a golden ticket. I got a golden sunshine in my
And then
like
and
I
like
thought that was a
there's a
really
window in the
cool.
background, and then you just
Yeah.
see Grandpa Joe like they artificially added him in there. Yeah, which I mean,
The
all
original
joking,
actor.
yeah,
Yeah, I thought that was a really
all
creative
joking
choice to use
aside,
that song.
I thought that was a nice moment that there was like a little golden ticket that she made for him, even though it was really reachy and like
Oh, I hated it.
I thought
I
it was I
hated
thought it was
that.
cute, but not to fast forward completely to the end of the movie. But anyway, so Chocolate Cartel, their goal now is to kill Willy Wonka because that's all they can do. The chief of police has found out that he's going through the sewer grates, and ultimately they stop him. Willy Wonka and Noodle find out that the underground layer to the chocolate cartel is under this cathedral where Rowan Atkinson is also paid off by the chocolate cartel.
Yeah. And when
Which
he
is,
gets his piece of chocolate, he like has an
yeah,
orgasm,
oh yes.
which is really weird. Like he's just
And a
like
lot
picks
of
it up and is like,
people and a, and a lot of people in this in the Gallery Gourmet area do have regular confessions concerning their addiction over chocolate. Um,
yeah,
which is very interesting. So anyway, the chocolate cartel headquarters is all underground. Noodle and Wonka go to infiltrate the cartel headquarters only to be drowned with the supply of the three competing chocolatiers chocolate. And come to save the day is Lofty and is one of three scenes in the fucking movie. Um so this Oompa Loompa that's hated Willy Wonka for years just so happens to find him only because of the last supply of Wonka's chocolate that he had, right? If I'm not mistaken. Um,
sure.
who the fuck knows at this point?
I don't think we mentioned it that during my showing, it was just me and it was three teenage kids in the very back row. And so they were talking the entire movie. They were making it like their life goal to talk over the movie the entire time the movie was
Hmm.
going. So there is a fair amount of stuff that I did miss. I will say that.
Okay.
I was so hyper focused on them talking and I was getting so angry about it.
So yeah, it's one of the three scenes of the Oompa Loompa where again the Oompa Loompa Lofty, he has a name, uh hates Willy Wonka through the entirety of this movie because he stole the cocoa bean from him in Loompa Land when he was asleep at his post and he got extradited from Loompa Land. So he has his personal grudge against Willy Wonka. So Willy Wonka didn't save the Oompa Loompas from Loompa Land being a terrible place, telling geography teachers all about it, which is outlined in the book, the movie, both movies, whatever. So again, that's another thing that you altered in the lore of the Willy Wonka universe that completely doesn't make any fucking sense. That also
He might
pisses
not,
me off.
in all fairness, he might not know about that yet, and maybe Lofty will let him know what kind of terrible place Loompa Land is. you know, or maybe what he returns Lofty and then he finds out really truly how bad it is, and then he decides he's going to save them all and bring them
Well,
all
Brandon,
over.
that I will agree with you on that, but that can only be said under the assumption that this movie had smart writing involved. It does not.
You watch your tone
You're
about the writer of the best movie ever.
you're giving this too much credit. But yes, that is a plausible idea. But however, this being a prequel that's 2 hours long, you really could have dedicated some time to that.
Sure,
So after Willy Wonka doesn't die from the chocolate cartel, they have another brilliant plan to kill him off. If Willy Wonka takes a long ride in the boat away from this city and vows to never show his face and sell his chocolate around here again, the chocolate cartel is going to pay off the debt of all of Mrs. Scrubbett's indentured servants, if you will. However, everybody except Noodle, because Slugworth can't have his niece be the heir
his
to this
daughter?
fortune. No. It's like his niece or something. It was his sister's daughter, and there was like an heir to this fortune, and Slugworth wanted all the money, so he had her fake Noodle's death to her mother, who's still alive. It was this whole fucking thing. So that's your big reveal at the end of this movie, by the way, is that Slugworth is related to Noodle.
The two black people are related to each other? Who knew?
But then so Willy Wonka is under the assumption that they're all going to be set free because they show off that briefcase full of money. And Willy Wonka is just this altruistic person. All of a sudden, like, is that what broke him? So they ship him off, and big surprise, they're gonna kill him on the fucking boat. Like, the boat's rigged with explosives, and then Lofty is there to save the day again, somehow, right? And then they return to the mainland, and then with the help of all the other 5 people from Mrs. Scrubbett's, they finally have the storefront. So this is setting up for the final part of the movie. So they get the storefront, and then the chocolate cartel finds out. But now that he legally has a shop, they can't do anything about it. It's so fucking bizarre. So he gets his chocolate shop, which is the precursor to the factory, right?
Yeah.
And then there's one of that song that they play during that scene. I really like that song. I thought it was a good song. It had good lyrics. I thought it was a good pure imagination of that kind of movie. It's called Part of Your World. I think no, it's called A Part of Your World. Isn't that a Disney thing? It's called World of Your Own. That's it. The song's called World of Your Own. And it's a good song. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe the movie won me over. And then along with the chocolate cartel, Mrs. Scrubbit they poisoned the candy with, was it Yeti sweat that made everybody's hair turn a different color with some of the worst like color change CGI I've ever seen. It looked like Dr. Seuss. It looked really bad. I don't know what they were going for with that.
Yeah.
And then that's when everyone thinks, oh, well, we can't buy Wonka chocolate anymore. So he gets foiled again. And they get all these setbacks, and then they find out that it was poisoned. And then we get into the pure imagination rendition, and here's the factory, and then here we go. Here's the fucking movie. They're setting you up for the golden tickets. It was so anticlimactic. The third act was so muddy and so bad. I fucking hated it. Why? You know what? I would have had no issue with them growing long hair and things changing color if Wonka had messed up a recipe in the second act of the movie when he finally opened up his storefront. None of this is chronological. I don't get it. Can you guys tell that I like Willy Wonka? But not Wonka?
Yeah, it's crap.
Yeah.
It's I forgot to mention I'm wearing a Doctor Strange shirt, and this isn't just because I've worn this shirt before and I couldn't think of anything else. No. It's the only shirt I have that shows magic on it, and there is magic in this movie. I don't mean that I'm like, oh my God, it was so good. It was like magic. No, Willy Wonka
can fly.
A witch. Yeah, he can fly, and he can do spells and everything. I mean, it's amazing. His candy defies logic and gravity and you name it, just physics in general. It's quite amazing, in fact. And it's just like I just don't understand that kind of thing at all. And one of his candies is salted with the tears of a crying clown, which is nasty.
So crying clown, Yeti sweat. That's fucking disgusting.
It is. It is. And the big thing that the cartel didn't like about his chocolate was that there was too much going on. Like that's what started all of this. There's just too much going on with this chocolate. It needs to be simpler. Maybe if you had some simple chocolate that wasn't magical, maybe none of this would have happened in the first place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And I can't remember if there was because you touched on pretty much. Oh, there was one thing I wanted to mention though. It was so ham-fisted that his growing up literally mirrored Charlie. So it's like that's
had the
why he
mother,
takes such a
didn't have
liking
the
to him.
father.
Yep. Yep. His
Just
mom
like-
reminded me so much of Charlie's mom.
Even down to
And-
slightly looking like the scrub woman from the 1971 original.
And it's just like it's ham-fisted because it's like, oh well, that's why he takes a liking to Charlie because he sees himself in Charlie, you know, like not
Mhm.
because Charlie's a good person. No. It has to be that he sees himself in Charlie.
Well, I mean, even down to the scene when, and there was one part where I don't know if they were trying to like juxtapose it into him being like illiterate and stupid, but when he did the whole thing, he got the storefront. I think it was after he got the storefront, and Wonka was like, "But my mom still wasn't there," and I took that line as like, "I'm still not fulfilled." Like I know she wasn't gonna be there, but like,
Oh,
and then Noodle just goes, "Did you really think she was gonna be there? I mean, are you stupid?" And I'm like, "Fuck you." That line kind of pissed me off. Anyway, I didn't know where else I was.
it's a terrible line.
It's yeah, terrible.
It's a terrible line.
So
Yeah.
so then you have where he finally opens up the chocolate bar and he gets the golden ticket, and then he shares it with everybody, all reminiscent of the moment where Charlie shares his only birthday gift with his family in all three adaptations. Again, you're just gonna mirror it. It's like poetry, they rhyme, right? The red letter media thing that's exploited from the Star Wars, Phantom Menace behind the scenes stuff. So
And bringing all of this full circle, guess what? That is her secret ingredient that he's wondered ever
love.
since he was a little kid was sharing chocolate with people you care about.
and that's when it goes into the pure imagination, and it's so fucking lazy too, right? Because it just goes, it says, if you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it, and they just change it to them in this movie version, and
Like-
they just change slight words here and there, and it's just like
It just
so fucking
encapsulates the movie
corny.
so well and how corny it is and just how like just vomit atrocious it is. Like
Mhm.
that's the only way that I could really call it. Like I just feel like gag me with the spoon or wrap a plastic bag around my head because I'm ready to be done with this movie, you know?
Well, I told you AMC got you covered when you get
Yeah,
your
I know. Too
popcorn
bad I didn't
bucket.
see it at AMC. I would have been done with this movie quicker.
Exactly. Candy is dandy, but liquor is quicker. And where are all the funny quips? Like, where?
Because he's not funny.
But didn't
He's
Wonka
not-
ever
he's
meet
not
anybody
witty, he's not
that gave
sarcastic.
him some kind of inspiration? Because it doesn't seem like he was inspired by anybody other than his mother in this movie and his own ingenuity. I don't know. Am I just asking
Apparently.
for too much as a Willy Wonka fan? Like, am I just
No. Others aren't asking for enough. Because I thought of most of this stuff too. Like you obviously got a little bit deeper into it than me, but I thought of most of this stuff, and I'm far from the biggest Willy Wonka fan.
good? I'm glad
Like
I said it then.
I'm a casual fan, and I thought of most of this stuff. It's not well written. Like it borderline sucks. And here's the deal. It's fine if you liked it.
Yes.
That's fine. And
Am I
we're
gonna
not
get it on
trying to
4K when it
insult
comes
it.
out? Yes, I'm a completionist. Although I still don't know if I'm getting Exorcist Believer. I don't know if I'm going that far.
I mean, this was at least better than Exorcist Believer. I will say
Yes.
that. And that's basically the nicest thing I can say about it.
Yeah. Again, it has moments of Wonka that just die immediately. Like I can't keep beating a dead horse or whipping a cow for its cream here, but like Jesus fucking Christ. I told Brandon like I went home and like I
Cried.
immediately yes, I cried. Uh um I cried out of my penis. Um I immediately I immediately went and put on the Johnny Depp version because that's what this movie made me want to watch was the Johnny Depp version. One thing I'll say before we wrap it up, is I gotta get to my pizza's in the oven. Really, I just want to get ice cream and chocolate syrup, more chocolate syrup because there wasn't very much left. That's I had chocolate milk before this and there wasn't very much left, but I really wanted to make
Very
milkshakes.
nice.
And I just
Very
like sometimes you just get like that weird craving and you're not you're not happy until you
Yeah,
satisfy that craving. And
sure.
I can get a tub of ice cream for $2.99 at Meijer, or I can get a fucking milkshake for like $4.49 at McDonald's.
Yeah. I don't know if it's this way everywhere. Comment below and let us know. But here in Michigan, nothing has healed since that time of the 2020.
Yeah, so
Okay.
basically what we're going for is Meijer closes at midnight, and I already know where everything is, so I'm only in there for like 5 or 10 minutes. But it used to be 24 hours. I would go there at
Used
like
to be
3,
24
4,
hours.
3, 4 in the morning when there's not a fucking soul, when they started to restock for the next morning
Yep.
and things would be
Yep.
out. It's a
Walmart used to be 24 hours as
awful.
well. I think it was only those two. Kroger used to close at midnight. Now it closes at 10.
Oh, and I'm getting Willy
Um,
Wonka candy too. It's Ferrero Rocher, not branded as Wonka. We've already complained about it.
mhm.
Because
Yeah.
I was at the gas station the other day and they must have had the Wonka stuff out for promotion. Wonka stuff because the nerd rope is right front and center.
Yeah.
And I ate one and it was fucking delectable. In fact, when I was done eating this nerd rope, I was upset because I didn't buy another one. And I had more enjoyment in that like 30 seconds of eating this nerd rope, that shrinkflation up the ass, than I did the entirety of like there was more sweet magicalness in that candy than there was in the entirety of this fucking movie. The people that were
Yeah.
so if there's a full row of people, right? And even if you reserve seats, and this is after the movie started, would you pick to sit one seat away from me, just leave one gap, and then have the two of you, and then the full rest of the fucking row? 'Cause that's what happened to me. And the two people, it was a couple, they took off their fucking shoes and didn't have socks on
Oh,
and were cuddling with each other. So out of the corner of my eye, I was seeing bare feet throughout the entirety of this movie. I forgot to mention that.
I bet they were smelly too.
I could smell some sort of feet, so I just kind of put my hand up like this, for the entirety of the movie. But luckily, I was so invested in the trash that I was seeing on screen that I quickly forgot about the feet because what I saw on screen was just as bad, if not worse, than the smelly feet, which probably should have set the scene for the movie. However, but yes, I don't think there's anything else I have
Terrible.
to say in the spoiler portion. I hated it a lot more than I thought. And I don't think I'm ever gonna watch it again in its entirety. I will get it in 4K because I guarantee you it'll be one of those reference quality discs, and I just have to have it next to the other two.
Will it be though? It's not like it's a particularly colorful movie.
I just have a feeling with the Dolby Vision it'll look probably pretty good. And eventually when I get a TV that I don't need, I need to flex those capabilities.
Sure. I don't know.
Yes.
It was a huge disappointment of a movie.
Yeah, it definitely was because the popcorn tub that thing was $30. Well, I mean, it came with
Wow.
popcorn. Yeah, came with popcorn too. So it's probably like a $20 popcorn tub.
That's
Um,
weird. Our Ghostface ones that are much more highly collectible were 20, 15 originally.
yeah, maybe they count 3D printed surface area volume in there. I don't know.
I mean, it does take a
Um,
long time to 3D print something, so and sometimes they fail.
yeah,
You
and the
gotta start
popcorn
over.
was junk too. AMC has it's either really good popcorn or it's the stalest, nastiest. It'll make me fucking sick shit. So fuck you, AMC, but thanks to the popcorn bucket.
Probably
Anyway,
arrived in the hat when it came from Warner Brothers.
the popcorn.
Yeah.
Exactly. So anyway, everybody, will you be buying the Wonka branded Timothy Chalamet costume from Spirit Halloween in 2024? Is this your favorite version of the character? Let us know in the comment section down below.
Let us know. What do you think of the Johnny Depp Tim Burton version? Because
I love that version so much more now.
I watched a little bit of the Angry Joe show video, and I'm not a
Oh
big
Christ.
fan of him anyway.
Me
But
either.
he kept going on and on and on of how this blew that one out of the water and how that one, like he asked one of his co-hosts what they would rate that one, and they were like, maybe 4 out of 10. And he's like, don't you dare rate it as high as 4 out of 10. That movie is trash. Tell me one scene, just one scene you liked about that movie. And it's like, what? Like I could name you like 20 things I
Dude, that
liked
movie's
about.
like one of the most solid 8 out of 10 movies of all fucking time. Probably even 8.5.
It's definitely better than this. And it just disgusted me that he said that. And I'm sure that's how a lot of people feel.
I know.
Unfortunately, there is a reason, there has to be a reason that this movie has, I keep on saying this movie, that movie has not been released on 4K, especially when Warner Brothers is so
Dude, that movie
badly
made
in
almost
debt.
$500 million in 2005.
It was not profitable though. Remember when we had discovered
Oh,
that?
shit. Yeah. Forgot.
Yeah. Unfortunately, which is why it never got a sequel. Because I know that they were banking on a sequel. They kept hinting
Oh,
at
I
Great
I would
Glass
have watched it
Elevator.
just because how the
Um,
hell are you going to do that? It's
and
so
honestly,
bizarre.
that's what excites me about this version the most. Like, did I like this movie? No. But I might like a Great Glass Elevator with Timothy Chalamet in 5 years or whatever.
I'd be interested to see the first and ever film adaptation of the Vermicious Kinet attack. I would love to see the grandma turn negative too.
Sure, sure. They would never do it because like we discussed already, like there's no way that they're gonna leapfrog over the original
Oh, of
and
course they're
get
not.
people that just look like them. That's not ever gonna happen. They're gonna have to do a movie that's a remake of that. But it would be great for them to just skip right to Great Glass Elevator, but it'd be confusing for audiences and stuff, so there's no way they would do that.
I know.
Plus, it's Warner Brothers. They're gonna milk
Yeah,
this as
took
hard
every
as they
fucking chance
possibly
they
can milk
can.
it. This movie's gonna have like 20 of them before they finally get to Great Glass Elevator.
One movie per child in the factory.
Yeah, it's not even gonna be that. Like, we're gonna have the movie about him tracking down the Oompa Loompas. They'll probably have one entire movie of him living in Loompa Land. Can't you
That
picture
would be
that?
fucking painful.
Yes, it would.
I don't even think I could see that.
And yet you would.
Yeah, true.
And then have the next movie where, I mean, he's looking for a plot of land to make the factory. Forget the castle. The
What are we
castle is
doing,
blown up
Duncan?
by Slugworth.
You
Slugworth
like
found the
Wonka.
castle and blew it up. And so now he has to find another plot of land for his factory. And it'll turn out to be Germany. Uh, and then another movie is going to be the building of the factory,
Oh,
and
good God.
there'd just be a ton of them.
It's like Harry Potter Part 2, Part 1, where they extended Part 2 into multiple movies. That Onion article or the video I sent you.
Yeah, yeah. I can also picture them finally doing a remake of the original, but like making it super quick because their ideas are better than that. So they'll do like a Rob Zombie's Halloween where they like like quickly wrap
Oh,
that up in
God.
20 minutes and then get onto their own original story. Could you imagine?
Oh boy. All right, everybody.
Let us know what you thought about it. And if you liked it, it's okay. Like, I'm not a douche nozzle to that extent. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna like berate you in the comments. Just let us know what you liked about it. You know,
I liked a
because
few things
I know
about
there's
it.
people that liked like things about it. Some people that love the movie. So yeah, let us know. Comment down below. And we will see you
In the next one.
in the next one. Good day
Bye,
to
everybody.
all.